Hey, hi, Christo.
Hello, Bindi. How are you?
Oh, what's up? इतने अंधेरे में क्यों बैठे हो? I am doing good.
Hello,
Okay, I think Christo, are you finding
can you
difficulty
hear
to
me?
hear? Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay,
So, how are
so
you? मौसम कैसा है?
मौसम यार बारिश की मौसम है और आई थिंक वी हैव अ परफेक्ट टॉपिक फॉर दिस टाइम कैथलिक वर्क्स ये बारिश की मौसम और वहां पे लाइट नहीं है और ये इश्क विश्क वाले यार यार मैंने क्या चीजी लाइन मारी अभी अब बस I think many people have joined us out here in YouTube. I can see that. So a big hi to all of you. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Yes, we have a lot of people. Hello, Lloyd.
Yes.
Hello, Lenson.
Hi, Vanessa. It would be good if you can write from where are you, from which part of the world you are right now joining us for the Catholic Book session. Hey, Justin. Hi, Divya Maria. Oh, that's
Hello, Godwin.
virtual
Oh, we
hug.
have a
Yes,
virtual hug.
Robin. Okay. So, Christo, I think the posters, the videos, everything was showing just one word in the front that was dating. And I'm sure everybody is so curious about that one word of dating. Everybody is here. So, Christo, let me ask you something. Are you dating someone? Uh, and what is your concept?
No. I'm not dating anyone, but if you ask me
Oh,
regarding the opinion to date, I'm quite okay with it. It is a wonderful opportunity for us to get to know another person. So, who doesn't want to date? Who doesn't want to know the other person? Why not?
okay, but Christo, like, let me be a bit frank in this matter. Like, we have seen our parents, we have seen many people out there who have got married without any of these dating apps or any courtships, and then they are living such a wonderful life. And we have been also taught, like God has a perfect plan for us. It will happen at that correct time. So, do you really think, this dating will work out? I mean, God has already made that person for us. Yeah, why do we want to go and search him like this through all dating apps and
See,
all?
God has made a person for us, that is fine. But how do we know it's the right person, right? It's not like कि somewhere कहीं ना कहीं पे अचानक से पॉप अप हो जाके हमें पता लगे कि ये पर्सन हमारा है. And coming up to the parents thing, it's a completely different generation, right? We are in the 21st generation, the millennials. We always want to be independent. We look out for each other. The thing we need here is compatibility, and that's where dating comes in, to know the other person. But उसके बिना तो कुछ नहीं होगा.
यार कंपैटिबिलिटी वर्ड काफी कॉमन है कंपेनियनशिप में यार वो वर्ड लेकर सब लोग ये करते रहते हैं वेल आई थिंक somebody is joining us someone uh-huh okay till that time I'm sure like both of us are discussion there were many people out there in that YouTube watching us with on and off of this dating topic like करना है नहीं करना है क्या करना है I think we are
अभी
the
तो
right
लॉकडाउन
platform
चल
now.
रहा है, घर पे बैठे बैठे अकेले अकेले.
Uh-huh. Let me tell you guys, you are the right platform out here and to speak about the dating apps and we have a wonderful resource joining us. Meanwhile, probably we can see some comments. I think people have noted down from which part of the world they are right now. Probably we can just look into that and let's shout a hi to all of them. Okay, we have Cinderella from Jabalpur. Hi, Cinderella. Rocky, hi from Mumbai. Christo from Takuli. Hi, Christo. Hope
Oh, there's another
Jen.
Christo here.
Oh, two crystals. We have already met crystal here. We have people from Indore also. Wow, that
Oh, we
Alan
have
speak.
people from UK. इंटरनेशनल हो गए हम तो.
Wow. Oh, yeah. बढ़िया यार. हम तो बड़ी प्लेटफॉर्म है हमारा. That's wonderful. Great. Uh,
Christo's dreaming about weddings. No, bro, not yet. I wish I could. I wish it was the right time.
oh, this is the right time actually यार. COVID. खर्चा कम है.
यार, but I am not in the right age, right? मैं तो अभी भी छोटा हूँ यार.
Oh, Christo would find one after this. हाँ, Christo थोड़ा सा नंबर लग
Oof. Bro.
You took away his heart. To all the girls out there, Christo is there.
Oh,
Okay, Janice from Nagar. Hi, Janice. Pamela D'Souza from Dombivli. Hello. Kiran from Bhopal. Hi, Kiran. Oh, yeah, we have the most coolest person, Deacon Ivan, on with us on the floor. Wow, super.
oh yeah.
Thanks, Christo and Benny.
So, guys, yes. So, guys, Deacon Ivan, he's a full-time deacon for the Archdiocese of Bombay. And to tell about him in short, just look at him, dude. How cool he is. You know,
This is a lockdown look, Christo.
yeah.
Ah,
I wish I could have something like that.
with a bandana also.
Yeah.
So Deacon Ivan has been associated with the youth since long years. He has been inspiring to a lot of people. So it is a wonderful opportunity for us that he is here to cover all our doubts about relationship and stuff. So to begin with, Deacon Bhai, uh, what do you think? Like we were just having a discussion regarding dating, like is it okay to date and all. So the basic doubt every one of us have is like, is dating a sin? That's the
Yes.
first question everyone has in their mind. Is dating a sin? What are your opinions on it?
Yeah, I think that depends where your dating leads you to. If it leads you to a sinful place, it will be a sin. But otherwise, dating by itself, I don't think it's a sin. I think if it's understood in the right Catholic perspective, dating can become a beautiful experience to discover the other friend, yourself, and can help both to evolve as human beings. So, in a Catholic perspective, dating is not really sinful, but yeah, dating where it leads you, and if you have the dictionary of the world with you, then you could say, yeah, that dating could be a little doubtful, because the word dating itself has got many connotations and different concepts attached to it. So I would not say dating as such is sinful, because from a right perspective and the correct lens, dating can be a very healthy experience and a good experience.
See,
Okay.
Bini, I told you dating is very good.
Okay, but I
She
have
was
still
doubting
few.
where your dating leads you to, I think.
Oh,
Uh, yes, that's my question, Deacon,
that
actually.
hurts.
Yeah.
So, see, this is something very common, like when you come for dating. Like, can I be physically involved in a relationship? Like, when a dating comes, somewhere people or mentality ends up with how can you physically, what is a physical relationship? How can you get involved in that? So, what is your point in that? Like, how far we can go into it?
Yeah, I've been asked this question often by people who are in love. How far can we go? And my usual response is, you can go as far as possible. The problem is when you come too near to each other. So I thought that it's right at this particular point of time that I offer you some insights on the Catholic perspective of this physical aspect of our lives. And I think the best teaching that I think we can be grateful to is a Saint Pope John Paul. And I'm sure all our young people watching or listening to me, I want to tell you that it might take a little while, but it's important for us to set the basic cementing foundation with regard to our bodies, because then when we view through this prism, I think most of you can be theologians who can answer your own question. So I'm taking you to what is called popularly the TOB, or the theology of the body. The theology
Okay.
of the body is a very dense work. It comprises of almost 129 talks that Pope John Paul gave in a series of 5 years of his pontificate. So it's a really large volume of work. And so, because it's a large volume, we will never be able to do justice to it. But I'm trying to put in a nutshell a few thoughts that can become a trigger point for us. So, what I want to say is that, in the book of Matthew, you have the Pharisees who come to Jesus and they ask Jesus a very vital question. And the question they ask Jesus is this: uh, is it lawful to divorce one's wife? And Jesus bounces the question back to the Pharisees and he inquires of them, what does the law of Moses say? And they clarify that the law of Moses says that if somebody commits adultery, then you can divorce such a wife. Jesus obviously is not very pleased with this ritualistic or law book answer. He rather makes an appeal right to Genesis. He says, in the beginning, it was not so. So Jesus makes an appeal to the book of Genesis, and he gives us the very foundation of what God intended for us as men and as women. So that's an important dimension to bear in mind. So I'd like to talk a little bit on the book of Genesis for you, really, so that you understand what is the foundational truth about our bodies. See, when we have the book of Genesis in the creation account, you will see that God creates the various elements of creation, and every time God completes that work of creation, God breaks out into an exclamation saying, and it is good. And then you have God taking the mud of the earth, God taking the mud of the earth, and with this mud, God fashions man. Now, you know, mud or dust of the earth comes from the Hebrew word tardema, comes from the word hadama, sorry, not tardema, hadama. And from that Hebrew word hadama, we come to the translation of Hadam, and from there you have the English translation of Adam. So Adam is not really a proper name. It is from the dust of the earth. Once he fashions man out of the dust of the earth, Hadama, we are told that God bends low and breathes his own life into the nostrils of man. And then we are told God makes a comment again. But we will observe that for the first time, God says, and it is not good for man to be alone. Which means the most beautiful thing we realize that loneliness and isolated living is not God's plan for humanity. God wants us to live in companionship, in friendship, and accompanying with each other. And this is important because when we listen to the book of Genesis, when we hear the word original, the only word that comes to our mind is original sin. And Pope John Paul brings us to understand that before original sin, there were other elements which were beautiful, which is original solitude, that God created Adam out of intimacy, and man realized that he was alone with God. He realized that he was different than all the other creatures, and he realized a sense of solidarity. So there is original solitude, and then when God realizes that, you know, it is not good for man to be alone, we're told that God fashions woman. And Adam, until now, who had not spoken a single word when we read the book of Genesis, breaks into poetry and he says, this at last is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. And the next expression in the book of Genesis is, and the two become one. This points out to original unity, that man and woman come together in an act of deep intimacy, the two become one. And that is original unity. And then we hear the mandate of God, which says that be fruitful and multiply. When God says be fruitful and multiply, he does not mean that you buy a little bit of a half acre of land in Idukki district in Kerala and plant, tapiokas there or mango trees there. That's not God's idea of be fruitful. When God says be multiply, God does not mean get your Casio calculators and calculate how many FDs you have. When God says be fruitful and multiply, it implies that this coming together in original unity must lead you to procreation. And so you have original solitude, you have original unity, and you have original nakedness. Mind you, Adam and Eve were naked, but they were absolutely not ashamed of their bodies. And that is what we call unadulterated innocence, something that we see only in children today, like when we were kids. A little boy of 4 years old will go with the neighbor girl who is again 3 years old on the beach, and they will be wearing minimum clothes, but they are not ashamed of their bodies. That is absolutely unadulterated innocence. That's what Adam and Eve lived with. They were naked, but they were not ashamed because they had a sense of this sacredness with the body. The shame comes in only because of sin. So you have original solitude, you have original unity, you have original nakedness, and then you have the whole concept of original, shame or sin that comes into the world. But from this, what we are gathering is the basic foundation element of the human body, which means that our bodies were created for companionship. Our bodies were biologically designed for each other, that they enter into each other in intimacy. And this intimacy or mutual love is meant for giving life. Now, whenever we violate this principle, when I engage in physical intimacy with somebody, and my intention is not procreation, but my intention is recreation, lustful desire, then we do violence to God's purpose of sexuality. And that is an important aspect to bear in mind. So, our sexuality and our bodies are really gifts that God has given to us to be exercised in the context of a sexual, marital, sacramental relationship. So everything that goes outside the ambit of this definition of a sacramental Christian marriage violates God's purpose. So sexuality is meant to be exercised only in the context of our Christian marriages. So mutual love leading to fecundity or procreation. So the primary aims are these in a Christian, physical relation. So if you're asking the question about, the body, yes, a dating which involves the physical exploration through a live-in relationship or through a sexual encounter would do injustice to the blueprint that God has in mind for the body. Because only when we understand this body like that, you will understand the beauty of God's design. For example, you see, when we are talking of the body, what is important to remember here is that the body is a gift given. It's a gift given, it's a garden, but it's not a public garden where anybody from the public can enter that garden. It's a private garden. Nobody can enter your private property and trespass it. It must be given access to only those people that you allow to enter. And so your sexuality is a gift meant to be exercised only in the context of a loving sacramental relationship. And it is from this is born the vows of marriage, or what I call the 4 F's in theology. Because when we get into this bodily relationship in marriage, you got to do it freely, you got to do it fully, you got to do it faithfully, you got to do it faithfully, and you got to do it fruitfully. So freely, fully, faithfully, and fruitfully. These are what gives our bodies a spousal character or a nuptial character to our bodies. And so you must understand, when Pope John Paul gave this idea, the theology of the body, what is theology? The word theology comes from 2 words, theos and logos. Theos is God and logos is word. So when we say theology of the body, what we are saying is that my body becomes the study of God himself. That means my body becomes the reflection of a study of God himself. So through my body, I discover love at its highest peak point. My body becomes the reason to discover the greatest love at all times. And that is important. This is the nuptial character of the body. And that is why you see on the cross, Jesus gives his body as the bridegroom to the church, his bride. He gives his body as a self sacrifice, willing to do what is utmost in that commitment to the church, his bride. So, only when we understand the body as the temple of the Holy Spirit, when we understand the body in this blueprint of God, we will understand the purpose of the human body. I must tell you an interesting detail that when Pope John Paul, he commissioned after every few decades, they do restoration work of the frescoes paintings in the Vatican House. So they were trying to restore the paintings of Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel. And Michelangelo's work is beautiful, but over the decades and centuries, they started putting fig leaves and they started covering all the private parts of the painting of, uh, Adam and Eve. When John Paul ordered the restoration of these frescoes, Pope John Paul commissioned and said to restore the painting to its original look, which means remove the fig leaves, remove these cloth pieces by which you hid the discovery and the sacredness of the body. And when he rededicated the chapel, one can say that chapel can be called the sanctuary of the theology of the body. So the question in dating, can I get physical? Can I indulge in a sexual encounter? The answer would be not really, because you have not yet engaged in that sacramental relationship as given in the blueprint by God in the book of Genesis. I think that suffices for us to talk on the theology of the body here, unless you want me to elaborate or clarify something of what I've said and it's not clear to you. I don't know if it makes sense. It's a little biblical detail and data.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, actually. That was really insightful. Another doubt I personally have is like, you know, what, like, does the Catholic Church encourage dating before marriage? You know?
Yeah, so I think, Christo, that question needs to be asked always in the perspective of, yeah, I can see the question flashed on the screen and it's put very accurately there. Courtship. You must know that courtship is the preliminary stage prior to marriage. So if a 25-year-old youth is asking me this question, then I think dating is a very healthy progress, is a very healthy process, because it is preparing you to discover the other person that you're going to spend your entire life with. So I think then dating, which leads to the purpose of marriage, and if you have the goal as marriage, I think the church would not have a problem with you dating, provided your dating is a Catholic dating and is not trapped into the language of dating that is given on other, the worldly secular forum. So, to all our viewers and young people, I must say this. I mean, this chat show organized by our Jesus Youth will make no sense to you if Netflix is your Bible and the Playboy founder Hugh Hefner is your biblical author. All that I'm saying here will make sense if you are agreed on the premise that the Bible is our authority. It is the compass on the basis of which we navigate our lives, and the biblical authors are inspired by the Spirit. So, if dating is to be understood in this Catholic sense of a preparation stage into marriage, a getting to know phase of the other person, I think it's a very healthy experience. When it comes to lower age groups, that is those who are 16 and 17, I think you need to understand dating from a different perspective. I want to clear that the church is not against attraction. When we are growing up, we feel this sense of attraction towards the complementary sex. As a young boy, I would feel attracted to a girl, and vice versa, a girl would feel attracted to me. That's normal. That's psychological healthy. In fact, psychologists will tell us that not to experience the sense of attraction towards the complementary sex is a clear sign of abnormality. So this attraction towards the complementary sex is a very healthy process, and one must admit to it. But this must become the springboard for all of us as younger teenagers to explore the beauty of us as young people in a holistic dimension, where our emotional intelligence is tapped through a entire gamut of reality, and we're not just focused on the body. Because if we are obsessed with the body, and that is, what is driving us in a lustful manner, then you will slip down on this slippery slope of dating. So the question of dating, when it is open to the marriage, it is good, because it means that you have a goal, you have a destination. But a young boy of 15 who doesn't have this goal of dating, for example, my point is, if you don't have a destination, why are you on the journey? It's like that famous story that we heard when we were in school, Alice in Wonderland. Alice asked the little cat, where does this road lead to? And so the cat will ask Alice back, where do you want to go? And Alice says, no particular way in real. And so the cat says to the Alice, it doesn't matter then which road you take if you have no destination to arrive at. So you see, Alice in Wonderland in sexual matters can lead you to Blunderland also. So when it comes to dating, you got to ask whether I have this roadmap leading to marriage, whether I intend to spend my lifetime with this partner. Then this getting to know phase in the totality of a person is very healthy and can help you to discover one another and help you to discern this calling for marriage. But in lower age groups, I would say that you need to discover the beauty of friendships, but not get into the physical dimensions, because you realize that, someday your intelligence can hijack your hormones, and we won't have control over our biological juices and hormones. So caution is prescribed there, when we come to younger teenagers.
Wow, I think Deacon, that was wonderful. That with the context of TOB, when you gave that explanation where Catholic Church is open with that right age and with the aim of marriage, I think that has. I think I am convinced now. I can say, Christo, now I am convinced to that fact now. Thank you so much for the question.
Welcome.
Deacon, my next question is like in this relationship now, since we have understood dating is fine, the correct context of that, we move ahead. In
Yeah.
this dating, how do I discern my vocation through this? We have been said that to choose which is right and wrong. So how will I come to a conclusion that this person is right for me and the God's plan? We have been said about God's plan. How will we? How will I? One person will understand. Okay, this is a perfect person. I can go ahead with the marriage.
Yeah, I like the question that you framed, Binny, because it's like most young people. Will I know that I meet the perfect man? Yeah, he's handsome, he's rich, he's loving, he's not possessive, he's understanding, he loves my mother, he allows me to shop, he listens to my cry. Such a man does not exist. Okay, there is no perfect young person, young man, or young woman for marriage. We are only imperfect young people who enter into marriage, and this is an important dimension to really take to heart. When I spoke about dating, I must tell you that if you don't have this goal in dating, if you don't have a goal in dating, then it's like going to a grocery shop without cash or my credit card. You see, if I go to a grocery shop without cash with me and my debit card or my credit card, then either I will return back dissatisfied, or I will take what does not belong to me rightfully. Now, your question about, do we discover our vocation? Yes, vice versa, both vocations. For example, I want to give you a classic example. One of the things that Pope Francis loved as a young boy is, what? Tango. Tango as a form of dance. And I don't know, those of you who love dancing tango is a beautiful dance where I dance with my partner and she goes far away and she comes close by. You see, in tango, we have to know exactly when to come close, at the same time, go far away at the right time. And the rhythm determines when we come close and when we go far. I think that's also important in all dating relationships. You should know when to come close and when to go, because if you don't go by the rhythm of your hormones, then they will hijack you. Now, Pope Francis loved tango, but I must tell you, as a young man in the seminary, this is what he shared once, that one day he was attending mass in the chapel in the seminary, and suddenly he saw a young girl going for communion. And he said, my God, this girl was beautiful, beautiful. And he says, over the next few days, this girl made his head turn every day at mass. Now imagine, this is the future Pope speaking, that a young girl had the power to make George Bergoglio's head turn as a seminarian. Now he had to come to a crucial point to discern his vocation. And Pope Francis tells us that in that crucial moment, he goes to his spiritual director and he shares the reality of these feelings. So, as young people, never hide your feelings and emotions. You must have a mentor with whom you can ventilate your feelings and emotions. Pope Francis says, as a young seminarian, as George Mario Bergoglio, he went and spoke to his spiritual director, and in that spiritual direction, he was able to discern. He was able to discern whether he must leave and pursue this girl or remain in the seminary. He decided to remain in the seminary, and thank God, because of that, we have a pope. So, you can have a beautiful vocational surprise like that. I have another friend also from the Archdiocese of Bombay, a very handsome priest, very classy priest, looking very, modern and fashionable and in vogue. Now, he tells me that when he was a young boy, he was in love with a girl and they were dating. But in the several years of this dating experience, there were these flickering thoughts that came to his mind that maybe God is asking him to join the priesthood. And so at periodic intervals, he kept bouncing to this girlfriend that I feel I have a call to the priesthood. And finally, when his girlfriend went abroad to the Gulf, so one day he took flight and went there to the Gulf, lived in this girl's home, and in the presence of her parents, he told this girl that I feel called to the priesthood. And this girl felt that this was a discerned decision, and she allowed this young man to pursue. And this young man is a wonderful priest in our archdiocese doing beautiful work. I think the young people in his parish really love him for the way he is as a young priest. So discernment is one important aspect to discern whether this partner is right for you. Besides discernment, I think two people who are in love can also have a mentor, someone like a guide with whom we can bounce our feelings, our struggles of the journey, of course, in the spirit of privacy. And then this common mentor can be like a link guide who will kind of help us understand what this relationship is doing to us. And in the course of time, when you take a relationship to God in prayer, when you entrust the good of the other as primary in your mind, when you begin to discuss this with a mentor who's guiding you. By the use of the word mentor, I don't mean that you discuss it with your best friend who is of your age. You got to trust the guidance of someone who is 10 years older than you, wiser than you, more mature than you, having gone through the stage of youthfulness, will now probably see signs of your behavioral pattern and allow you to discern whether someone is for you or not. And then, of course, I must say that you have to trust God and take this risk in life, because there are no perfect partners. There is no marriage that ends like a fairy tale. That, when we were in primary school, we learned those famous stories that they said, and they lived happily ever after. Those are only in the fiction section of a library. They are not, they are in the myth and the fiction section of the library. There is no marriage where there is no flying of cups in the bedroom. Before marriage, you are the sugar of my life. After 5 years of marriage, that husband is so busy earning his salt that he has forgotten the sugar at home. And then very often the neighbor is eyeing that sugar candy who's left alone. So you see, it's not an easy bargain. When we are excited, when we are young, we can say, oh, I love you with my whole heart and every other loving part. That is okay when we are young. But the challenge of marriage is when you show the element of self-sacrifice, when you realize that our commitment is fully, faithfully, fruitfully is giving to one another. So, discernment is a process that you must embark on with honesty and self introspection. Like one aspect of discernment is very often, a boy will ask, is she the right girl for me? Or the girl will ask, is he the right boy for me? Have you ever reversed that question and asked, have I become the right boy for her? Have I become the right girl for her? We're always putting finger and the onus on the other. If they are best for me, have I asked, am I the right boy for this girl? Because if I'm a bad brother to my sister, if I'm a bad son to my mother, it is very unlikely that I will be a good husband to a wife. Because if I take my mother and my sister for granted after 10 years of marriage, I will take my wife for granted. So, discernment is a process, and you got to allow the spirit to lead you, and then you take a decision in life. But it's a process, and it must be guided by a life of prayer, by a life of self introspection and honesty, a life of also sharing with a common mediator and a mentor who through the wisdom of their life will guide. Such a mentor can be your parent as well. It can be a spiritual priest, it can be an older uncle, it can be somebody who has lived a life of a witness. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So, you know, keeping all this in mind, can we consider dating as a beginning of the institution of family?
Oh, yes, certainly. That means you're already progressing to the next step, Christo. You're saying that I'm thinking of a family because I'm already thinking of marriage. So that's positive. And I want to compliment the way you put it, if this has been asked by somebody, because a lot of the adult world accuses you young people. And I want to tell you that I am very often accused of advocating the cause of young people and championing you. I believe that young people are fantastic and the world does not give you a fair chance. I must tell you, there was a study in the United States done by this biological anthropology scientist called Fisher. What she says, she's done a research on about 30,000 sampling youth, and she says the present millennial generation and the generation Z or Z, they are believing in dating but less with the idea of sexual encounters. In fact, they are dating more with the idea of a stable relationship, and they are looking for a marital commitment in a relationship. And because they are not sure, they are slow and they even indulge in not going all out for sexual contact. Now, that's a sociological survey that is conducted among tens of thousands of young people, and that's good news, which means this idea that young people today have a loose character is a stigma that we give to young people. And I hope our adults know that this is not fair to young people. If young people are thinking that dating can become a stepping stone to the institution and the foundation of marriage, I think this is a good thinking. I think this is a very biblical thinking, because this will lead us to the institution of marriage. So I think a healthy dating process, and this by this dating process I mean is when you involve even the community. For example, I always give this example: a boy, when he wants to take his girlfriend for a movie, if he's taking her for the film, what's the famous film now we have heard of, let's say Manikarnika. No boyfriend is taking his girlfriend for Manikarnika. You don't want to see your girlfriend using the sword. A boy doesn't take his girlfriend for the movie The Good, Bad and Ugly. He'll take his girlfriend for the film Andheri Raat Mein Diya Tere Haath. That is already indicative. That is already indicative that he'll go for such a movie, Reshma Ki Jawani. Because such films, there will be only 6 youth in the audience in the whole theater. And instead of watching the screen, you are running your own reel of your screen behind there. So it is important that in our dating, the places, spaces, and we involve the community. I can go to explore a dating partner with this intention of discussing family life, discussing kids in a marriage. If I go to CCD, Coffee Cafe Day, if that is too expensive, you go to the Chai Tapri Wala. But instead of going there, if I go to Bandra Promenade and sit behind those tetrapod rocks, then it is obvious you want a non-veg menu, my dear friend. So I think that if dating in its healthy concept is inclusive of the beauty of asking for a discussion on marriage, a dreaming of life that God wants us to, then it is fulfilling that second or the other side of the same coin of marriage, that is procreation. That mutual love must give birth to new life, which is what Genesis tells us: be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. Okay?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Meanwhile, there are a lot of questions coming up. Thank you for the response. All your questions will be answered very soon. So, Deacon, can you tell us, the difference between dating and courtship?
I think difference in the sense that using language as the, as I've said, when I was talking to you all in a general chat, somehow the modern media has hijacked the English language, and we are giving our own meanings that are born out of the dictionary of Netflix or all these channels, which are not giving us values for life. They're not giving us values for life. So I think whether it is dating or courtship, what is clear is very clear, that any sexual involvement or physical intimacy can only be approached in the context of a Christian marital commitment. And so therefore it doesn't matter. Courtship, usually in some cultures they say when we are engaged to each other, like for example in the Archdiocese of Bombay, engagement is not a very formal process. But if you go to another diocese, maybe in Mangalore, engagement is a very formal official process. It is difficult to get out of an engagement. So courtship is that time when you have made some sort of a semi commitment. Dating is a little bit more fluid. It is to getting to know you kind of a phase that we are approaching in, and that is I think important to bear in mind about dating and courtship.
Okay, I think that gives us a fair difference. I mean, understanding of what is dating and courtship. I think probably that many have a question about it. Deacon, if we go now ahead, like we have the Catholic perspective, the teachings about dating and everything. The next question would be probably, what about intercultural and interreligious relationship? What does church say about that?
The church does not call the marriage between two people of different faiths as sinful. It doesn't do that. In fact, the document of the Vatican Council, Gaudium et Spes, teaches us that there are seeds of truth in other religions. We cannot condemn other religions. There are truths of seed in other religions. So the church does not say that getting married to someone of another faith is sinful. However, it cautions us and discourages us from entering into a marital commitment with someone of the other faith, because very often we do not realize that we are not able to see beyond a particular perspective. When you see a horse in a race, a horse is often fitted with blinkers, and these blinkers around the horse's eyes make sure that the horse doesn't look at any sides and is only focused in the front. But that is not with life. In life, you have to have a widened angle, a broader horizon. So, for example, let's say that I bring you up to my, the pastoral center where we live. It's a two-story building, and I take you at the terrace and I say, have a look around this entire place, and you'll be able to see the retreat house. You'll be able to see a few buildings, and you say, this is the world around me. But if I take you to another building around, which is about a 14-story building, and I take you to the 14th floor there, you will be able to see a greater, broader horizon of the world. And you'll realize that what I was seeing from the second floor was a very limited view of reality. Because when I've climbed the 14th floor, I have a much broadened horizon of the reality. So when it comes to the cultural, celebration of two people of other faiths, the church doesn't want us to be naive, doesn't want us to be blind, but wants us to pay sufficient attention to the challenges that we could encounter when we engage in marriage with another faith. Because it's not only the faith that matters. Along with faith, what is also at stake is that the cultural way of living, the social norms and customs in a home, the ways and patterns of behavior in another family are absolutely different, and they are challenging. So if you are not, conscious of these realities, these can throw up serious challenges after a few years of marriage. And what do you do with the kids when you have kids? Some people give the lame excuse that when the kids grow up to be 14 and 15, we're going to ask them to choose the faith they want to do. Would you dare to do that with the child's education? Would you say that why to put the child through the grind of all this math and algebra? I'll leave the child to become 14 and 15 and then decide whether he wants to go into arts or commerce. No, we put the child through a grounding experience of kindergarten and primary and secondary before allowing him or her to choose the stream that they are going through. So when you have people of two different faiths brought together in marriage, what are you going to impart to those children? Though if it's a Christian marriage, both parties agree to take a vow, they agree to take an oath to say that I will bring these children in the Catholic faith. But the reality is, when children come up, then there are conscious fights, or one party might say, you have one child already baptized, now let the other child follow my faith. How would it be to have two kids in one home where one is following Christianity and the other is following Hinduism? Or both are coming to the church and receiving communion at the same time they are ringing the bell at Shiva's temple and receiving prasad. I think that will violate, at least for us at Catholics, we believe that the first decalogue is that I am the Lord your God and you shall have no other gods before me. So we bring a lot of confusion and a conflict of values in the minds of growing children who are like tissue paper. They're like blotting paper. You put a little ink blob and it absorbs the every aspect of that ink. So you put children at a very conflictual situation and they're confused in their minds of what really are we doing with life. So the answer to the question, you're if you're interested in someone of the other faith, these are questions that need to be debated upon, need to be clarified upon, need to be discussed, because then it will save you of the trouble. And you will agree that it is not easy to adjust with another human being. It's not only the faith, it is the cultural way of life, their traditions, the norms, the customs. You bring the entire baggage of another way of life into your home. And so the church discourages mixed marriages of other faith, but certainly it doesn't call this marriage sinful. It respects the marriage, certainly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So bringing on technology into dating, the general question I have is using online dating apps or matrimonial sites against my faith?
Yeah, one of my challenges of responding to a question like this is I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on I'm a technology beggar. I'm suffering from poverty of being tech savvy in life. So I don't know what these dating apps show, but I know, for example, one dating site, for example, where young people just go and keep swiping back and forth, to the pictures that we see. So you will have thousands, nothing, and yet you snap and appraise them with a single swipe. It's what one author said, it's a finger flicking him to the instant gratification of the smartphone age, and it becomes addictive. So what is the real purpose of that dating site? So I would caution young people who want to go to a dating site and say, can we look out for a Catholic dating site, a Catholic dating site which believes in the Bible, in the teaching traditions of the church, and then ensures that those who are there on that site are keeping these parameters in mind. If it's a Catholic dating site, I think it can become a trigger point to start off and launch off, and from there you take off. But if you have a dating site which is, you know, not really purposeful in its direction, and we're just having fun. And secondly, I'm saying, who's asking about the dating site? Why would a 16-year-old girl go on a dating site? If marriage is only when you're going to be 25 and 26, you don't need to do research now on a dating site. Even for your college assignment, you sit only 1 week and do your research on google.com. Then if marriage is a decade away, why are you on a dating site or flicking Tinder, flicking fingers there? So my suggestion would be, dating site should be welcome, and I hope someday the Catholic Church takes this seriously and launches, and even to encourage ecclesial youth movements to build platforms that are available so that our young girls and boys are able to find some platform to interact with each other, at least as a starting point. Then, of course, it should move to the next stage of meeting in a person, of discovering one another, of sharing of ideas, rather than staring at a blank screen. I mean, look at an online dating site like today, you all are watching me, and the screen is frozen. You can only hear me. So if someone is very good as a wordsmith and is very good at hitting classy lines, one might think, wow, I'm marrying William Wordsworth. But the real person to live with in flesh and blood might be very different. So don't get caught up and let your whole mind make 100% decision that I'll go on the dating online site, and that decision is going to be free from any error. So caution is what I would advise in when you go to any dating online website. I would suggest a church-driven website or platforms like you have. Pro Cana is one group that organizes opportunities for young marriageable adults to interact with one another. So, but as an online site, it is not harmful if again you have your goal, your destination of finding a partner, and your mom is bringing all thakela girls in your life, and you're like, mom, we are youngsters of the modern generation. Where you're going and bringing these kind of girls? So it's okay to browse through these sites as long as you know that your intelligence is not going to be hijacked by what you see there.
But Deacon, coming to the dating sites and the matrimonial sites, what do you think about the filters they have? The height we go through, the color, the complexion, the style, the hair. Do we really need to think of all these things and filter through to find the perfect person?
Good question. I think that as a human being, all of us at some level want to see ourselves presentable. Like it is a choice for me to pick a black bandana to sit before you today. So we take that care to decide how to drape our clothes, pick what goes well on our bodies and suits us. So I think even in picking up a partner, at the human level, it is okay to say that I want to look at some basic compatibility in some manner that we make a decent match. But that can only be, a trigger point or a launch springboard. The larger part, the 95% of it should be based on the human person. And that is where we go wrong on these dating sites, where the filter consumes 95% of our minds and we are obsessed. Sometimes I see a girl and she's not very beautiful, or she doesn't have dimples, or she doesn't have blonde hair, and I just pass by without realizing that here is a wonderful human being that I can really engage in a relationship and is perfect for me as a partner for a lifelong commitment. So, actually, in filtering and in having a very biased premise of going in vital statistics, I might lose out on the beauty of a person. And I think this is where I want to caution young people: do not be prey to the digital, screen that we are so comfortable with. All of us have decided in our minds that we need a girl who is 36, 26, 36. I need a girl who is fair. I need somebody who doesn't have too much of body weight. Who told you that you have to be in perfect shape? Who told you that if you're a little plump, that you are not a gift of God, that your body is not valuable, that you're not worthwhile? I think we do violence to one another when we look at the externals and we reject somebody because they're dark skinned, or because we don't like their hair, or because they're of a body shape and size. I think this is not the way to look at a partner in marriage. I often tell the girls that I'm very close to, if makeup had to make us look beautiful, if makeup had to make you look beautiful, then you were never beautiful at all, because your beauty has come only because of the makeup. So the point is, I don't think we have to put makeup on us to look beautiful. We have to look at the inner person, whether I'm beautiful as a human being. And that will only happen when I go beyond filters, when I go beyond pretending before my date. Because the dating period is always nice. You see, when we are dating one another, my girlfriend loves red color, so I'll put a red t-shirt. My girlfriend likes Davidoff perfume, so I'll put Davidoff and go. My girlfriend likes this fresh breath, so I'll put nice chewing gum and mint in my mouth and go. But you see, this is all a passing temporary phase. I remember when I look at my mother's picture when she was young and got married, she was perfect, slim, 36, 26, 30, very beautiful. Now, after 50 years of marriage, I very humorously tell her, Mummy, look at your marriage photo and look at now, you're looking like a Godrej cupboard. There is no shape nor size. Because all these things, the beauty of my skin, my hair, my vital statistics, will all fade away with the passing of age. If I'm very proud of my beautiful hair and I get transferred to Bangalore because of that water, every day when I'm having a shower, I'll see 23 hair down the drain. You can use shikakai, you can use head and shoulders or feet and shoulders, the hair will go. My skin is very smooth. I get chickenpox and smallpox together. There'll be craters like the roads of Mumbai, which are not repaired by the BMC. So, if my love for the other is based on the external, this will all fade away with the passage of time. What will remain is the beauty of who we are as persons. So, filters, if we are obsessed by these external elements, then they are not good. But if the purpose is just to start off and then have a clear intention of the kind of person that I would want to live my life with. I mean, all of you will agree when your mom and your dad goes on the bed, no one is spraying a perfume and going and sleeping there. Like before marriage, it is all rosy and comfortable. After 2 months of marriage, the girl will tell her husband, "Arey, my pet dog Shanky smells better than you." Life is very challenging, so we can't get throttled with these external elements. We got to look at the beauty of the person, and I think these filters sometimes do harm, because I know a lot of friends, girls especially, who feel rejected very often and they are so heartbroken, and some of these women are fabulous human beings, fabulous human beings. I tell them, oh God, very late you have come into my life, others that have proposed to you. Now it's late, I've taken my vow of celibacy. But they are fabulous girls, but they are rejected only because of this low kind of thought process. I think as young people, we must challenge this mentality of the fair and lovely culture and of all these filters which are, hijacking what is more important in our lives.
Yes. We still have a lot of questions coming up. Actually, we have a lot of questions that are related to the topic, but they need a deeper understanding. So we'll be doing answering those questions post the session later on. We will get back to you. No worries. Coming to the next question. What do you think is the LOC for dating? In short, after all this, when we proceed, okay, if we are gonna date, what would be our LOC? The line of control.
I think in a dating relationship, the only person you got to save your girlfriend from is you yourself. You should know that her sexuality is a gift that God wants to give you in the beautiful act of marriage and that sacred intimacy. So I think it's okay to hold hands. It's okay to give a hug to one another. It's okay to give a kiss on the cheeks. But I think when you go beyond that, as I said, use the expression earlier, when you get onto the slippery slope, that is the line of control. Because you see that, suppose let me say that you say that smooching is okay, but you should know that when you get engaged with a French kiss, when you get engaged with a smooch, it doesn't stop there. Your hypothalamus is not in control of the rest of the parts of your body. Your biological system and the hormones take control, and it is very difficult for you then to put a break because of the biology of our bodies. Girls, because of the way they are biologically created, they may be able to hold a little longer, but for men it is difficult to control yourself. Once you have started going down the slope which is full of moss, you will slip into the next act. So why get into that domain which will lead me into the tempting turf? I need to know my own safeguards. I need to know what is my red push buttons so that I stay away from that zone. If there is an electric pole and it says there's 10,000 watts of current, do not touch. And I pretend to be a macho man and I'm going to the gym and I have my abs and muscles. I will touch and nothing will happen. You're stupid. You're going to get electrocuted there. So why enter when there is a big banner of, do not trespass? And our minds will tell us in conscience what is not correct. If any of you young people are listening to this conversation, you run this through the reel of your personal film life. If you have engaged in smooching, let's say with your girlfriend or with a dating partner, you will realize that if you have smooched her for 3 or 4 times, afterwards this urge and this craving and this thirst will continue to make you thirsty, and you will seek for opportunities, lonely moments, lonely spaces, so that you can engage, because your body has created that craving and thirst for wanting more of that. And so one thing will lead to another. So you need to know where to draw the line. you know some years ago that Pepsi had an ad, ye dil mange more. What they claimed that Pepsi ad was, it will quench your thirst. But when you drink it, the ad says ye dil mange more. That means instead of quenching your thirst, it has created more thirst and made you an addict of that Coke or whatever it is. And the Coke company or the Pepsi company is laughing all the way itself to the bank. The only thing what you require is water which can quench your thirst. And Jesus says, I am the living water. He or she who drinks of me will thirst no more. So if you want to taste the waters which are harmful to you, that's bad. If you read the book of Jeremiah, I think chapter 2 of Jeremiah, I can't remember, but check your Bibles and please correct me if I'm giving the wrong quotations. I don't have a Bible around me. But Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 13 says that very often we reject the fountain of life-giving waters and we are going to waters of the cisterns. We are rejecting the fountain of life-giving waters of marriage and we are going to cisterns. What is cistern? A cistern is defined as a collection of water which is meant for toilet purposes or connected to toilet purposes. Why do I want to consume junk of the world of sexology and darken my world? We will slip through the deep abyss of nothingness. At this point, I remember in that movie 50 Shades of Grey, the actress Dakota Johnson, after the film was released, she went on record to say that she has pleaded and got her mother to promise her that she will not watch that film of her daughter, 50 Shades of Grey. The answer is obvious, because one thing leads to another and your conscience will tell you that what is being done there is not appropriate. So your line of control has become imaginary. Then when I was in school, when we had these Hindi films of Rajesh Khanna and Sharmila Tagore, they used to sing around these trees, and whenever there was a kissing scene, they went behind the tree and there was only some music in the background. Now you have a full-blown kiss and smooching that is watched by 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds. So the LOC has become blurred now. We have been shifting the LOC as per our desires and whims. So I think it is important for each of us to make that line of control, that what is the discipline of my body? Do I value the dignity and the respect my girlfriend or my boyfriend respect their body as the temple of the Holy Spirit? And can I make a vow that I will be chaste and abstain from sexual involvement? Because that is when you enter the slippery slope and you will change the line. You will say, I can control, I will only smooch and it will stop there. But you're not in control of your biology. Your hormones will be more powerful than you. So there's a saying that says, angels rush in where fools fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. So I think we need to discern that line of control for ourselves and not make one another vulnerable. So for young girls, do not give in to the demands of your boyfriend. You are equally the image, the Salem, and the likeness, the demuth of God, the Creator. And if we've had mistakes or, on the journey of life, we've faulted, I want to say that we have a very merciful God who forgives us. Jesus forgave the adulterous woman, even though he was the only person who had the right to throw a stone at her. He forgave her, but please note, he makes a comment, go and sin no more. So the slogan is there by Jesus that don't enter into anything that will lead you to sin. What will lead you to sin is a personal reflection and introspection that we have to make for ourselves personally.
Thank you, Rick. And I think that gives a little more clarity to all of them. This was a question from the comment box itself. Probably due to time constraints, we'll go for one last question. And friends, let me tell you, these questions are taken from the survey which we had done before the session. These questions are among most of our friends out there. So Deacon, here we are. We understood the Catholic perspective. We understood what is dating, courtship, and everything. And we are moving ahead one more step. There are times like everything is just perfect, but our parents don't agree to this relationship. Even though we're considered all those aspects and we move forward, sometimes parents are against to our relationships. So in that context, Deacon, what would you advise?
Yeah, so if this is a young girl of 16 who's fighting with her parent, or young boy of 16 who's fighting with his parent, I would think that at that age, you think this is the girl. When I see her, butterflies are flying all over and thousands of cupids are all. You think this is the person for you. But you have a long journey. So you don't really know who God has decided for you. So I would say that it's not a question of asking your parents, it's a question for you to be open to several other relationships in your life before you come to a decision that this is the girl I would like to marry. And there is no point of fighting that I want to marry this girl, mama, she's the one for me, because your marriage is only at 28, you're only 16. Why cause the next 8 years of premarital discussions in your home and preponing a problem that will happen only 10 years later? So hold your discussion. But if this is a young boy of 27 who has a good job, is financially sound, is having his own home, he is a well sorted out, balanced young man, he is an IT engineer like my friend Abhishek, who is sorted out in life. He has never made usually mistakes. His mom and dad always compliment him that you make decisions with your head on your shoulders. Now, if your parent raises an objection, you have to always bear in mind that the Decalogue teaches us honor your parents, honor your father and your mother. Do not write off or brush away or erase the wisdom of your parents. You have a responsibility to listen to them, to listen to their arguments, to listen to their comments, because they are speaking out of an experience of wisdom. And besides, they also know you very well. As a young boy, for 27 years of bringing you up, they know you better than this girl knows you for the last 2 years or 3 years. But having said all this, if you have listened to their part of the script and you have filtered what they have said and you have analyzed and made a good, a fair analysis, and you feel that my parents are prejudiced or their comments are not very, I'm giving you a very lame reason now. If the parents are saying this girl is not going to bring us dowry, I think that is something that we should fight off with our parents. That it should be something you have to rebel and go against. But if your parents are pointing out something that is really worth keeping or bearing in mind, I think you need to pay attention to it. But if there is something that is said that doesn't do well with your, your emotional thought process, your spiritual thought process, your rational thought process, and you feel your parents are prejudiced and not trying to understand, I think it is okay for you to make a decision that says, I have made up my mind, because the law of the land gives you the liberty as a citizen to marry the person of your choice. The first question that the court judge will ask you, are you marrying freely? The first question you are asked in your marital vows in the church is, are you marrying this person freely? When you fill your prenuptial concept, you will be saying, I'm freely marrying this person. Your freedom is utmost. So if you are feeling that you are making a decision in freedom, you are at liberty to marry this person. And I would say Don't say that because I'm marrying someone of my choice, I'm against my parents. And in the months to come, you must be able to convince your parents that in every other area of life, you feel, mom and dad, that I look after you, I respect you, I provide physical support, I provide financial support, I'm a loving son, I do things that make you happy. How come only this one area of my life you don't feel I'm adult enough to take a decision? And you got to win over your parents to say, trust me that this is a decision I want to make. I want you to accompany me and I may fall. I want you as parents to be there when I fall, to lift me up, because I hold you in high regard. But yes, you have the liberty and the right, if you're convinced and you're mature and you have the right age and you have your resources, you have a right to say that I want to marry this person. And I think parents should not be too straight jacketed in labeling you by saying that you have gone against them. Even if they say, I think if you have a good marriage, if your spouse respects your parents, a child is born, that child will be the dove that God sends to help you restore that bruised bonding with your parents. Parents cannot be angry with you for a lifetime. But I don't like the use of this word against. So the question is, if every aspect of your life your parents find you immature and you have proved to be immature, then your parents' objection is right. You have only made wrong decisions in your life, and they've had to bail you at every point of time, whether school, college, messing up in life. Then obviously they're going to say even this decision of yours is rooted in foolishness. So I think you need to pay attention to your personality. Talking to others will help. Getting involved, the elders in the community will help, provided you know you're in the right track. But I think one must have freedom. Freedom is the basic premise of a marital commitment. If two people are getting married, let's say Binny is getting married to a boy called Jason, because Binny's mother felt Jason is a very nice boy, and he's having a lovely 5 acres land in Todupuda district, and he has a lovely flat in Bandra, and he's an IT engineer. So Binny doesn't want to marry this boy, but her mother says, no, you have to marry. If you don't marry, I'm getting a heart attack. So poor Binny has no choice. Binny will marry out of force, not out of freedom. The point is, after marriage, if Binny decides to go to the Catholic Church and says, I want annulment, Binny will get annulment, because she will say that I was not free to enter into this marriage. So Binny needs to be honest when she's filling the prenuptial inquiry form before the priest, before the marriage, because your freedom is a gift that God has given you. Freedom is guaranteed in the constitution of the country. Freedom is a human right according to the UN Charter of Rights. Freedom is a gift given to us by God. So if you are sure that this is a decision that you want to take, keeping a multifaceted parameters in mind, and you think it is a right decision, then I think if you need to take a decision where your parents are not happy, so be it. But keep them in prayer that God will bring them back to reconciliation and restoration of that relationship.
Thank you so much, Deacon, on that. Probably now I understand how much wisdom is required, I think, in discerning this relationship for the vocation of the marriage and dating and everything. Due to time constraints, I think we need to end up here. Before that, I think many youths are out just saying hi to you, Deacon. Would you like to
Tell them
share
I
in light
love
of
them. I love them. Tell all of them that I'm saying I love young people and I'm blessed. Many people say, wow, Dn.Ivan, you're amazing. I always say this, I am not amazing, but you have made me amazing. I love young people, and God bless you all, those youth who have plugged in. My congratulations to everyone in the Jesus youth. You are doing great work. I want to call you missionaries of our generation and time. So it's been great listening to your questions, your bruises and wounds. And if any of you are feeling wounded and you want to talk to me, you can obviously get my number. It's very easy. Every Tom, Dick, Harry, Mary, Jane has my number. You are at liberty to come and meet me, so we have a personal chat. Of course, Christo can't come from Hyderabad all the way. Great.
I'll be in Mumbai very soon.
Before we end, Deacon, would you like to share in light of wisdom to all the youths out there who's just listening to you to a final one?
Final one. Yeah, final one. I'm crossing the limit of dating. I want to tell you the mantra of my life is all relationships are sacred. All relationships are sacred. You won't believe that I had a school teacher who died about 5 years ago. Before dying, this teacher of mine told my mother that in my next birth, if at all there is, we don't believe in rebirth as Christians, but she said, if I had to be reborn in my next life, I would like to be born as Ivan's mother, or Ivan's sister, or Ivan's girlfriend, or Ivan's wife. I want to somehow be related to Ivan. I want to tell all of you that all our human relationships are sacred and beautiful. And the pattern that I follow, if you meet my close friends, they will tell you that they love me and I love all of them. They are amazing. When I go out for holidays, everybody outside on the street will think we are a mad group of women and me with them. But what makes my relationship beautiful is we are all of us more than friends, but less than lovers. So I can have a beautiful relationship with a friend who is married to a man, and yet that relationship is beautiful because we know, as what Christo asked, what is the line of control? We are more than friends because it's a beautiful relationship, but it's less than lovers because I know that aspect of life belongs to a marital relationship with her partner. When we use this philosophy, or when we use this expression that we are more than friends and less than lovers, it will teach us to tread the path of beauty and make our human relationships profound, deeply meaningful, and our lives will be a beautiful expression of God's love. So I wish you all also to have such beautiful relationships that are more than friends, but less than lovers. Bearing in mind that when you say that I'm a lover, we explore another aspect of the physical body that goes against the blueprint of what the scripture teaches about the purpose of the human body.
Well, so my friends, it was Deacon Ivan with us on the floor, and I think we had a fabulous session out there. Yes, I was
Thank
enjoying.
you.
I was enjoying. I'm sure the comments I'm seeing, everybody was enjoying, and the comments you just nailed it. It was all to the point. Thank you so much, Deacon, for being with us for
Thank you so much.
God be with us and God be with you also as you continue to do great evangelizing work. You are missionary disciples.
Thank
Praise
you so
God.
much. Praise God to that.
Praise God. Praise God.
Let me tell you, your questions won't be unanswered. We will be getting back to you soon with second session sort of a thing. But for that, you need to stay tuned to our social media accounts, which is on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. The links are provided there. Any questions you need to ask to Deacon Ivan, please drop down your questions in the chat box. Also, please help us with your suggestions, feedbacks. We are all here to carry for the next session. Before we come back, the next session with an interesting topic, with an interesting chat, with an interesting resource. Pray for the Catholic Buck team, pray for us, and we are also praying for you. God bless each one of you. And thank you for being a wonderful participants to all of us. Krishna, you would like to add something?
Yes, please press the bell icon.
Oh, yeah, the notification bell icon. Don't forget about that. So be with us, stay tuned to us, and get subscribe. You will get the updates out there. God bless you all wherever you are. I think wherever we are together here with the Catholic Bhakti, with the Jesus Mumbai. Let's say a Hail Mary for the entire world, wherever we are. For the youth who is struggling with these relationships, with the parents and all the questions and doubts, I think we need to say a Hail Mary. So let's say a Hail Mary and intercede to our Mama Mary to be with us in this journey. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb. Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of
Holy
God,
Mary,
pray for us.
Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and
Now
at the
and
hour
the hour
of
of
our death. Amen.
in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Bye bye. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Bye bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Love is all at the end.